Last week, on Friday, the Western Cape High Court ruling that impeached Western Cape Judge President, now MP for the MK Party, Dr. John Hlophe, he does not fit the role or fit the purpose to be a member of the Judicial Services Committee. You know, the Judicial Service Committee has an important job of interviewing, amongst other things, potential judges in South Africa's judiciary. Now, John Hlophe is an MP. He's legally entitled to be an MP, but because he was impeached and became the first judge in South Africa to ever be impeached, he cannot sit as a judge, and he does not enjoy the perks of being a retired or former judge. So it was a very interesting situation when the MK Party, and then approved by the National Assembly, then appointed him to the Judicial Services Committee, where he would be interviewing judges and sitting on a body that endorsed his impeachment. Talk about an awkward moment, but there's very, very other more pressing implications. I'm joined now by Mbekezeli Benjamin, Research and Advocacy Officer at Judges Matter. Good morning, Mbekezeli. What are the reasons why the Western Cape High Court said no, John Hlophe cannot be a member of the JSC?
Good morning, Lester, and good morning to the listeners. Well, to be quite honest, the courts have not made a final decision on whether Dr. Hlophe cannot be a member of the Judicial Service Commission. What Friday's judgment simply said was that he must pause. For now, he cannot participate in the judges' interviews until the full case is heard. The question of whether he's eligible to be a member is decided. Because what the Democratic Alliance went to do in the court was to challenge the rationality of Parliament's decision to designate Dr. Hlophe as a member of the JSC. And now that issue will still be determined at a later date. But at this moment, the DA said if he participates in these upcoming interviews in October, then it will undermine the credibility of those interviews, and that is harm that will not be repairable later down the line. So what they essentially asked the court to do is to tell him to sit those interviews out for now while the case is going on, and later on there'll still be a debate on whether he can be a member, and that will be decided at that stage.
Because John Hlophe's presence on the JSC, particularly when interviewing former colleagues for judicial position, could be awkward moments. In October, there are interviews for positions on the Western Cape High Court, including a Western Cape Judge President position. One of the candidates is the current acting Western Cape Judge President, a person that John Hlophe did not see eye to eye with. In fact, I think it's Judge Patricia Goliath, that there had actually been charges laid by Patricia Goliath against John Hlophe. One could obviously see there would be some sort of conflict of interest in John Hlophe being on a panel to interview Western Cape judges.
Yes, for the Western Cape Judge President position, it would have been a clear conflict of interest for Dr. Hlophe to sit in those interviews, and I suspect he would have recused himself for those specific interviews. But what the court said on Friday is that the implications of Dr. Hlophe participating in all of the interviews, not just for the Western Cape, but in all of the interviews, those interviews would be under some question. There will be some issues about their credibility. And that is something that will arise because if later down the line, for example, the courts decide that he should have never have been part of the JSC in the first place, then the interviews that would have been conducted up to that point, all of them would be under some question, and which is why the court said, for now, you shouldn't participate and wait until the court processes end, and only then will a decision on your participation be made.
Mbekezeli Benjamin, Research and Advocacy Officer at Judges Matter. Really appreciate your time.